Today we're making chicken pot pie. So first off, we're starting off with about 1.5 pounds chicken tenderloin. We're putting this in about 2 cups of water. You can use whatever kind of chicken you want. I just like chicken tenderloin. So I got about 2 tablespoons of honey or so to go flavor up the water. I'm about to put a tablespoon or so of the spice mixture, a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of herbs, a little bit of spices, black pepper, all that good stuff. All right, we're gonna put about a teaspoon of liquid smoke. All right, a little bit goes a long way with this. And for a little zing, hot sauce, about 5 or 6 dashes of your favorite hot sauce. And of course, you always gotta stop the water. We're gonna put this on high heat for 15 to 20 minutes. It's always better to start off with a lower time and move up because you never wanna overdo whatever you're cooking. All right, so let's go ahead and get about, say, a tablespoon of olive oil in this pan and start cooking this up for our vegetables to saute up. So here are the vegetables we're gonna be sauteing. We have about 3 sprigs of celery, 2 things of carrots, a cup each of frozen corn and frozen sugar snap peas, and half a cup of frozen onions for convenience, and a cup of homemade chicken broth. Also, we have a cup of cold milk that's been sitting in the fridge. I like 2% milk because it has a lot of fat, it has a lot of flavor. You can use whatever milk you want, have your cream, half and half, etc. So, we're gonna go ahead and start sauteing up our vegetables. So, going to put in both the carrots. So we need to saute these till they're about transparent. That should take about 3 minutes. So we also want to put in these onions and our corn. So just throw it in there. When we boil this, we're cooking it mostly, but whenever we're gonna simmer the sauce, everything is gonna finish up cooking. So let's go ahead and go back over here. Look how our stuff's coming. Oh yeah, this is looking nice and pretty. That looks just like a cornucopia of color right there. All right, it's getting about time to add our flour. Let's go ahead and get our tablespoon measure right here and sprinkle on top your 2 tablespoons of flour. Mix this all together, just so we get everything coated, evenly coated. So let's go back over here and get our homemade chicken stock and our milk. We're gonna go ahead and add these and start making the sauce. Chicken stock first. You can always use store-bought chicken stock, but I just happen to have this homemade, and so I decided to use it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna crank up the heat a little higher. And when we do that, we're just gonna let this thing simmer till it reduces. So the sugar snap peas, they add a nice sweetness, a nice crunch, a nice snap. Just listen to that. The nice color, I love that. And I think my food should have color and sound to it. It's just what I think. So we're gonna go ahead and add about the cup of sugar snap peas. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and mix these in. The reason I did it right now instead of doing it before was because whenever we were waiting on the chicken to cook, these could have just curdled up and soaked in so much liquid they'd just be fat and not crunchy and not snappy like I want them to. And so right now, since it's simmering, we'll give them time to mellow flavors with all the other vegetables. Always be careful. Always wear your protection whenever you're moving hot stuff. So take it slow, not being racing here. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. In this case, slow and steady saves your life in serious cases. So with the tongs, we're gonna grab one beautiful chicken. Look at all that juice coming out of it. And so we're gonna have to maneuver it. So hold it. Look how beautiful that is cooked. Oh yeah. Can't wait to eat it. I'm gonna go ahead and move our chicken into our sauce. So go ahead and add a little bit of groups at a time. If you've done it right, then they should be splitting just like this, and you won't have to do any extra maneuvering in the sauce. Increase your temperature to low, lowest setting you have. Mix together your chicken and set a timer for, oops, it's a daisy, just leave it right there, eat that later, for 25 minutes. So we can let this thing simmer while we're making our crust and mellow all the flavors together. So it's time to make the crust. So we're gonna have our flour, about 1 3/4, and we're gonna have to use non-grainy salt, like sea salt. We don't need to use that, just use regular table salt. Put a little bit. There we go, just a little bit. And we're gonna sift this all together. The reason we're sifting this is because we do not want any just clumps of flour that will mess up our recipe. If you've ever made any homemade pie crust and you have one clump of flour, you know how much it messes up your recipe. And then it's just horrible to have to start over. So, pesky stuff always gets stuck. This little stuff, you gotta shake it out. So, we got that sifted. We'll have 2 tablespoons and a half of our shortening, cold, and another 2 tablespoons of our cubed butter, or margarine, of course. The reason I say cold is because if you just have it warm, it will melt at room temperature and then totally mess up your pie crust, and it'll have like this horrible texture. I can't even explain it, it's so horrible. So what we're trying to do is just trying to mix up the stuff, rub it into the flour is all you want to do. Rub it with your hands as much as you can. So when you're squeezing the dry ingredients like this, you always have to just be moving your hands constantly. You can't just hit one area and then not hit anything else. You want to spread out the flour and the shortening and all the butter and all that good stuff everywhere. So I'm done mixing that. So time to go wash your hands. So it's time to cut our butter and our shortening into the dry ingredients. So all you have to do is just move around the bowl and move your wrists. Same symmetrical motions, just so you cut up everything into a grain, turns into little grains, like miniature flour granules. So this is done. You see how it looks just like the texture of breadcrumbs? That's what you always want to look for. Oh yeah, perfect. So right here I have ice water. It's about 7 to 9 tablespoons is all you need, but I always keep just about a cup of it, and then I drizzle it in a little bit at a time. So just drizzle in about 2 or 3 tablespoons. All right, and then with your hands, just mix it together a little bit. So you're gonna do this a little bit at a time until get the right texture you want. Nope, still not ready. A little bit goes a long way, can't stress that enough. Okay, got all this extra stuff, toss it on top. So, time to flour the counter. So you want to go ahead and turn this full ball of dough out. So just knead it, constantly knead. Just a little bit. All right, just work it. So the way you know have a good dough is if it pulls away easily, sticks together, but easily pulls away. That's all you have to remember. That is a very good dough right there. Just finish up a few more, a little bit of flour right there, a little more kneading, and you're done. So what you want to do is just form this thing into a ball or a square or whatever kind of shape you want, and then just let it sit until the sauce is ready. So while we're letting it sit, the fats should just start melting together with the flour, and then you should be ready. So a little bit of taste, a little bit of chicken. That's good. So, time to move this over. Go ahead and get your handy spatula. So, what I like to do is I like to go in with a heavy approach. Just put all of our sauce, all of our veggies on top first. Come back, clean out the pot. Simple, works just as well. All right. So, gotta shake it out. Try to get as much away. If you have to, smooth it out a little bit. There we go. Time to move back over and roll out the crust. So, already, we got our hot pad, we got our crust, we got our stuff, we got our crust right here that's been resting. Just throw it out. So, depending on what size dish you're using, or what square or whatever, I'm using the square. So, I'm gonna form my into a square because that's what kind of dish I have. So, all right, press it out. Time to move over to the pan. Leave our extra flour, brush it on. Always flip over. Never go like that. Flip over, keep the best shape. So depending on how thick you want your crust, you should just roll it out into your proper shape, or just how you want it, thin, thick. I personally like mine thin, so I'm gonna roll mine out thinner than normal. All right, I think that about does it. So the trick is roll it over your rolling pin lightly so you can drape it over your dish. So if you happen to mess yours up like I did, just easily pull it out. All right. Excess, you can just roll it over, tear it off if you like, put it in areas that don't have the crust. So now we're ready to bake it for 30 to 40 minutes or until you like the perfect brownness and it's bubbling over. And that is how you make Mark's almost world famous chicken pot pie.